Hey guys, it's Bob Ferngren, and I am back with another 8-minute video. And these videos are all about network marketing, success in network marketing. Been in network marketing for 18 years. Prior to that, I was in corporate America and achieved the highest levels you can in the hospitality industry. I've also done a number of bricks and mortar entrepreneurial ventures, and I can tell you that I failed miserably at those. That is a rough life, you know, having to pay the employees and the rent and the CAM charges and all the government oversight and compliance issues and dealing with the employee issues and people not showing up and, you know, the margins are absolutely terrible in the hospitality industry, and it's really tough to make a living. But, you know, fought my way through that for about 30 years. And then I discovered this industry. And I discovered one of the most interesting things about this industry is it's all based on one thing: talking to people. Now, mind you, I came from a world where you had to place orders and you had to deal with suppliers. And, you know, as I grew in the ranks, I had to deal with corporate politics. And then, you know, eventually becoming the president and the CEO of large companies, you had to deal with department heads. And you know, there was always crises that, you know, just happen in big companies, from robberies to, you know, people quitting on the spot, and, you know, goes on and on and on and on and on in normal corporate America. And thank you God for normal corporate America. More importantly, thank you God for small businesses, because remember, even the biggest businesses were small businesses at one time. And so really need to support our small business. So I get here and I'm used to working hard. I mean, like really hard. Like hospitality industry, restaurant business, even at the highest level, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And, you know, the higher up you go, you know, the more problems you have, that goes with the territory. That's perfectly fine. I mean, great CEOs actually look for the problems so that they can deal with them when they're small. Bad CEOs let things blow up first. I like to think that I was a good CEO when I was always in the, you know, either a creative phase or a problem-solving phase or a management phase, but mostly I always cared about the people around me. So I get here, and, you know, it takes a little while. I was in my mid-40s when I discovered network marketing, so it's, you know, old dog, new tricks kind of thing. It took me a little while, like a couple of years, to realize all I really have to do is talk to people. I mean, wait a minute. All I really have to do is talk to people? That's kind of a cool idea, isn't it? I mean, when you really think about it, I think most of us are used to things being much more difficult, much more complex, much harder. Here, all we have to do is talk to people. So now, I was starting this video out really going to talk about being intentional. And I still want to talk about that, and I'll probably talk about that more in future videos. But in order to be intentional and to really stay with that idea, how many new people are you talking to? How many new people are you talking to? How many new people are you talking to? You know, all the excuses are off the table now. If you're alive, let's just say you're alive, breathing, and watching this video, every excuse is off the table, because you can now literally, one way or another, get in touch with every human being on the planet Earth. So we know there's none of this, oh, I've run out of people stuff. I mean, you'll never run out of people now, and that's kind of a cool thing. So the being intentional part means that there's going to be some self-discipline. In other words, you are going to say to yourself, I'm going to set some minimum goals of new people that either I'm going to call, I'm going to see in person, I'm going to reach out to through a Facebook message, an Instagram message, other social media messaging. Just this week, I sent out 5 text messages to people that I think will be just awesome for my business. 1 out of those 5 has responded. But what I've seen with people who kind of get it, there's just some simple things here. Simple things. They always have a minimum they're going to do every day. They always have a minimum they're going to do every day. Now, every day, I think, is 5 or 6 days a week. And I tend to think that you can get to some really good income levels in 8 to 12 hours a week. I know I did. I know my first year in network marketing, that's about all I could ever give it. Even maxing it out, 8 to 12 hours a week. Most times it was 4 to 6 hours, but I was very, very, very intentional. And what I think most people think about this business is, when I get around to it, I'll send some messages. When I get around to it, I'll make that phone call to that person who literally could change the destiny for our family. If I actually picked up that phone and that person actually said yes. Now, we know if you don't pick up the phone, they're never going to say yes. So let's say your chances of finding somebody that's going to change your future, your legacy, your family, everything was maybe 1 out of 10 people, that you called like that. Those people on that super chicken list, if you will. But it's the intentionality that makes the difference. Again, I believe most people have an attitude of, when I get around to it, I'll send that message. When I get around to it, I'll do that follow-up. When I get around to it, I'll talk to that person. When I get around to it, I'll make that phone call. Well, if you know me at all, I talk about the law of attraction. There are certain things that are very, very high attractors, like energy. Positive energy is a huge attractor to people. Negative energy is too. We're currently learning that in this pandemic thing. It's a high attractor. Fear moved people. Those are 2 extremes. I prefer to stay on the positive side of that. So now think about, if your approach to your business is, when I get around to it, we know that how you think and behave is what you attract into your life, right? So if your attitude is, when I get around to it, what do you think you're going to attract? When I get around to it, people. If your attitude is, in the 10 hours a week that I've absolutely committed, and it will happen no matter what is going on in the world, I will get those 10 hours in, and I'm going to work my business intentionally, making phone calls, doing 3-way phone calls, being on Zooms, doing 3-way Zooms, following up with people, putting them into the process, following up on people, helping them finally get to a yes. I'm going to do it intentionally for 10 hours a week. Now let's go to the law of attraction again. What type of people do you think you're going to attract if you're one of those committed, sold out people in the whatever it is? Remember, I talked to you yesterday about how many hours you have. You might want to watch yesterday's in the previous video about how many hours you really have. I estimate the average adult American has 20 to 30 hours a week, but I cut it back to 15 to 20 hours. So here's the real question. If you were intentional in those 10 hours a week, or whatever you've committed to, what type of people do you think you would attract? You see, there's a big difference. There's the people who try our business, and there's people who are committed to our business. Look, you're intelligent. Which one would you be attracted to, a trier or a doer? Hey, let's go.